Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone is doing well on this Monday morning. Joined by Tigers manager AJ Hinch. If you have a question for AJ, please put in the chat, and we'll take those in the order they're received. Ben and Carlos are going to go through and make sure everybody has permission to record that needs it. We just ask that you leave your microphone on mute unless asking a question to avoid any background noise. Start with Chris McCoskey of the Detroit News.
Morning, AJ.
Good morning.
Just before I ask baseball questions, when you guys go out there today, how much work do you plan on doing in the stadium itself, just for our vantage point purposes?
None.
None? Okay.
Yeah, none. Not until Friday. Friday, we'll do something on Friday in the stadium leading into the weekend game.
Okay. Okay, perfect. With Robbie Grossman, before the Tigers signed him, how did you beat the drum for him? Did you kind of recruit him, at least with Al?
Yeah, no, we all did. I mean, I think the organization valued him very highly when we started talking about how we were going to add talent to this team. And then I did talk to Grossman before he signed. I have history with him, but just the organization in itself. I don't think anybody had to sell Robbie Grossman to anyone when you see what he's done specifically in the last year, but just over his career and how he's put up quality at bats. I mean, it's pretty impressive. And once we got into the, kind of near the finish line, you start to put a little pressure on him by calling him and talking to him through, just about what the situation is going to be, what my expectations are, what this new staff can do for him and how he can impact our team. So it was an easy sell internally and externally.
For sure. And as much as his, we know him as a player, we've seen him, but the fact that he could influence maybe the mindset of the offense, the other guys on the squad too, the way he does grind out at bats, it's something that obviously has had to come up in this organization. Sure.
No, and he's, again, you guys aren't going to be near him a lot, but it's, you're not going to hear him a ton sort of outwardly. He's not going to say things so much as he's going to do things. Right. He's a leader by example. He has grown, and I've seen him as a young player in 15 all the way now through a couple of different teams to where he's going to be relied upon to have a little bit more influence, but it's still going to be how he goes about it and what he does on the field that impacts the players as much as anything.
Yeah. I mean, stupid to talk about this early. I know that batting orders and such like that, but he fits the kind of leadoff hitter mode, doesn't he? Or am I not seeing that right?
No, I think, again, kind of like top half and lower half of orders. I see him in the top half more than I see him in the lower half. So, obviously I want to see our guys that I don't know. I mean, I know what he can do. It certainly is attractive to think him in the hitting in the first inning at some point. But again, I've got to assess kind of where the lineup is and what, who can function there. But the style of at bat in terms of seeing pitches, do some damage, draw a few walks, be a good hitter, the switch hitting component, all in his favor for hitting, at or near the top.
Great. Thanks.
Thanks, Chris. Evan Petzold, Detroit Free Press.
Hey, good morning, AJ. Sticking with Robbie just for a second. This is a guy you said he's not super loud. He's not going to, you like to see kind of do maybe more one-on-ones with players and just sit down and say, hey, here's what I'm seeing, or, maybe having some of those players, kind of feel comfortable going up to him and asking him in like a one-on-one situation.
Yeah, no, I think he's grown to do that. I don't know, in the clubhouse, I think the players sort all that stuff out amongst themselves. I think the challenge for Robbie is just to keep continuing to evolve and grow and feed off of the adjustments that he made. I think one of the biggest lessons that the players, the younger players can learn from him right away is he's adapted his swing. He's changed his swing. He's changed his approach, in his 6th or 7th year of Major League Baseball. So that in itself, his story is probably just as big a lesson as anything he's going to outwardly say right now, but he'll impact, they'll develop relationships and in groups and in the cage and certainly, be a little bit more vocal leader behind the scenes, but it's it evolves over time. I'm not going to bestow it on him. I'm not going to ask him to do it. until he gets comfortable being in our clubhouse.
I mean, what's the tone that you want to set here in year one?
It's a mindset of winning. I think in how we do all of our activities. I mean, I'm excited to get everybody in front. I still don't consider this the first full squad. I don't have everybody in camp, but I think just showing them a little bit of my personality, my expectations, getting out on the field and getting to the baseball. I mean, I'm baseball 24/7, so I want to get to the baseball more than I want to get to any sort of motivational speech or some sort of show or and that's not what we're here for. It's really to get the players in a position to be prepared for the season, and they'll feel that after the first meeting, but not as much talk as people really probably think on the outside.
Great, thank you, AJ.
Yep.
Thanks, Evan. Jason Beck.
Well, that kind of puts a damper on the question I was about to ask. But I was wondering how much you had been working on that first speech you were going to give to the quote unquote full squad, and whether it's undergone any revisions in recent days.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not to this isn't a movie. This is a major league clubhouse, and obviously I want to I'll tell them how excited I am to be the manager of the Tigers and to be their manager, and certainly set a tone and expectation for the camp. I mean, there's some messages to be delivered, but it's not a movie. It's a season that we're preparing for, and to me, it's about them knowing my priorities as a manager and ultimately challenging them to be the most prepared team going into the season, 6 weeks from now. Again, this is not my first one. I've been in a lot of clubhouses. I've been in front of a lot of players. I certainly have some points that I want to drive home, but I've been doing this since the day that I was hired. So it's, I don't have to say, hello, my name is, to start the speech. This is, it's tone setting time and show them a little bit of personality.
And it feels like the managers I've covered over the years, each one has had their own ideas on how and when to work on batting orders and lineups. I know Leland used to put them, jot them down at random points, even during the off season. How do you approach that? Do you even think about that at this point? And when do you really start sitting down and kind of seriously thinking about how you want to put a group together?
Yeah, I mean, I do it all the time, to be honest. I do like to tinker in my own mind or write something down. I like to see it on paper, on a dry erase board. I mean, in any given time, I'll, I talk not so much about, who's hitting where, but just how the team offense can operate, and how I talk about at bats in tandems, like what the leadoff guy does impacts the 2 guy, which impacts the 3 guy. Like it's always groups of 2 and 3 that that you want to kind of keep together, and you want to optimize you want to score the most runs you can. And so that's as simple as it is when it comes to putting a batting order together. There's no other way to talk about it than how do we score the most runs. So as we get through the spring and you see some things and you change it, I mean, I'll say it now, don't worry about where the lineup is on spring training games and guys that are hitting at the bottom of the order or top of the order. I mean, it'll evolve over time, and I'll communicate it to the players before I tell you guys. But I know the love affair with lineups across people that follow the game and are involved in the game, and we'll have a few different ones throughout the year, I can assure you.
Especially in these early spring training games, if they're shorter than 9 innings, I assume we're not to read much of anything into the early spring batting orders, because probably some of that is based on getting guys
at bats
before these games.
Fair, exactly right. And also just in the availability of guys that until these other guys get up and running that aren't here in camp yet. Not only batting order, but just volume of play. I mean, there is opportunity early in camp based on us not having a couple of prominent, position players in camp. So there's going to be some guys get opportunities early, which is actually good for us. We get to see them, we get to assess them. They get a little bit more playing time than maybe they normally would. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit different with the 7-inning games. I don't see us playing any 5-inning games unless the other team, or us have a major change in need to cut back. You might see a few 7-inning games, but we'll get to 9-inning games, hopefully soon.
Good. That's good to know. Thank you, AJ.
Yep.
Thanks, Jason. Dan Dickerson, Tigers Radio.
Morning, AJ.
Good morning.
Going back to Robbie Grossman real quick. How do you know when a guy who's made a change in his swing, resulting in it leads to exactly what he wanted, more power, never really shown power in his career? How do you conclude that that is real, or at least feel good about the chances that at 31, he has made a change that will result in consistent power?
Yeah, I think that's where you can look at the numbers. I mean, the numbers don't lie. And I don't mean just the home run totals or the doubles totals, but really the approach totals. I mean, he pulled the ball, I think the second biggest leap pulling the ball in baseball. And that to me indicates a change in approach and a change in contact point out in front of the plate, where he was consciously trying to get pitches that he could pull and pull for power. So it's real when you can hear it from the player, you see it in the result numbers, and then you see a metric or a measurement behind it that supports that. That's pretty real. And so obviously he's going to continue to evolve. A lot of this is like, he can say, I want to pull the ball, but you got to pull the right pitches. He did a good job last year of pulling the right pitches and getting in counts where he could hunt some pitches and get the ball closer to him and things of that nature. So I think to me, it's a conversation at the beginning. It's sort of double and triple check yourself. And then when you get out on the field, is it sustainable? And that's what obviously we're going to work with every player on stuff like that.
That was a coach who influenced him. I think of your coaching staff and all the influence it can have using the technology and all the information that you have with some of your players. Are there some players that I think are the ones that you signed, Ramos and Scope and Mazzara and Nunez, who could benefit from a similar either change in approach or a change in philosophy at the plate?
Yeah, I think both guys are returned too. When you look at some adjustments that Nico's already talked about with his left-handed swing, that obviously we need more contact out of him left-handed. That is easier said than done. If that's not rocket science, that's not like a new thing for him. But changing an approach in order to increase that likelihood that we're going to put the ball in play hard and not just put the ball in play, I think you're going to see some things out of Nico. I think the hunting pitches and where we look, where we're supposed to, what pitches we're supposed to swing at, you got to combine that with the advance report. But yes, to answer your question, every single one of these guys can be tweaked some percentage in order to optimize what they're doing in the batter's box. And that's again, I think across the league, a lot of teams, every team's going to try to do that. We need to be good at it. We talk about it on the pitching side with pitch usage. The zone control and swing decisions and where we do our damage is going to be key on the offensive side.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. We have 3 more questions left in the chat, so we'll try to get to all 3 of those before we wrap it up. Matt Shepard, Fox Sports Detroit.
Good morning, AJ. I don't expect you to go 1 through 9 here, but can you give me the characteristics of what you look for, at least at the top of your lineup, and the type of hitter you want as a 1, 2, 3, 4? What are the characteristics?
I want our best hitters to get the most at-bats they possibly can. It's as simple as that. Obviously, the more good hitters you have, someone's going to have to hit 6, 7, 8, 9. But at the end of the day, when you can score the most runs is when you give your best hitters the most at-bats. Now, I certainly believe in the table setting component of the on base of a leadoff hitter, but that guy's getting the most at bats on your team. When the lineup rolls around, he's got a lot of it's a leadoff spot, like the first at bat of the game, and then after that, he's going to randomly hit in all sorts of parts of the order, so to speak. Obviously, you want guys that are going to impact run scoring to get the most at bats. It doesn't mean you can, I understand why Miguel Cabrera in his prime was not leading off. That wasn't where he hit, but I will pay emphasis to get our guys as many at bats as I can when they are the best run producers.
And lastly, from me, maybe this would have been better during the pitchers and catchers rather than guys showing up today. But what is the difference between rushing a young player and having him learn at the major league level in your mind?
Yeah, that's a great question. And if we could figure out it perfectly, we'd be really good in the game. As far as when to press that go button for a young player. And I think there was always a criteria for advancement, of things that players needed to accomplish in order to get to the next level. And that has sped up over the recent years. And it doesn't matter position, player, or pitcher. These guys fly through the minors now.
Yeah.
And that criteria of advancement has sort of been eased to where now the better players are, they're going to make adjustments at the major league level. So it's not perfect. It's each individual guy. I think more than anything, I think the guy that can emotionally handle the struggle at the major league level, then I'm all for pushing him pretty fast and getting him up to the big leagues. But not everybody can handle that. Not everybody can stay under control as they advance against more and more, and better competition. And I think we'll individualize it. It's not one size fits all, as I've said. And on both sides of the ball, pitchers or position players, if the guy can emotionally handle the challenge and then physically make adjustments along the way, development at the big leagues can really happen. If not, then that more controlled environment in the minors might be best to develop them.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Cody Stavenhagen from The Athletic.
Hey, AJ, you mentioned the psychology degree yesterday, but I was wondering what it's like having George Lombard and Chris Fett also with psychology degrees, and what do you make of the fact George went back?
Yeah, no, I think the continuous learning that goes on, that has gone on with this staff is one of the reasons that when we put it together, it's a very well-rounded group, and it's all about connecting with players. And when you talk about good coaches around the league or influencers, or when players talk about, it's because they connected with the players. And to me, it's not so much book smart. There's some street smarts in there. There's some time where, the experience, you can get that at a lot of different places. And so it's imperative for our guys to keep coaching and keep evolving and keep trying to find ways to reach players, whether it's, we've talked about, the struggles of Jake Rogers as he's got in the high prospect status, the race through the minors for a guy like Casey Mize, the continual development that needs to happen for guys that have had success. That all comes with a very well-rounded coaching staff to continue that and continue to challenge the way we're doing things. So there's a reason these coaches have all been hired, and it's because of their impact with learning and teaching and ultimately a player first mentality.
Thanks, Cody. David Lorla from Fangraphs to wrap it up.
Hey, AJ,
Yeah,
another
see you.
lineup question. You mentioned earlier that you tend to look at batting orders in groupings, basically this guy, this guy, this guy. How much do strikeout rates play into that? And on a related question, is an ability to hit with 2 strikes an undervalued asset in today's game?
So it's a good question. Both are good points. I think what you're trying to, this goes along with maybe speed as well, is it's very difficult to score runs if you have guys that strike out continuously one after another. So huge strikeout guys probably need to be split up by somebody with a little bit higher contact rate. Same goes for speed. You can't just simply put base cloggers right in the middle of the order and expect your bottom of your order to be able to move the ball around the field. And you got to be able to score on a single at some point. The second part of the I forgot your question. Give me the second part again.
Is the ability to put the ball in play on 2 strikes an undervalued asset?
It is an undervalued asset for sure, specifically those that can do damage with 2 strikes. But to me, again, I think this is going to change over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years, whatever it is, where we have to start valuing the guys that put the ball in play a little bit more. And the ability to be able to control the strike zone, know the strike zone, swing at strikes. I obviously not just accept the strikeout, handling the bat, but still doing damage. You can do a lot of damage. You look at what Scope has done with 2 strikes in his career and doing the damage that he's done. You don't have to. I think some people think contact rate and 2 strikes means touch the ball, and that's not necessarily the case. You have to have a bigger strike zone with 2 strikes in terms of what you're hunting, but the ability to put the ball in play, contact's your friend, and a 2 strike approach to me has faded a little bit over the last decade, and certainly needs to be revisited on how to win games.
Awesome. Thanks, AJ. Thanks everybody for your time this morning. We'll see everybody after the workout today.